This is Tranisha Cottrell. Welcome back to the channel. And if you are new here, welcome to First Love Yourself, where love, life, and Christ combines. I am so grateful to have you here on this journey of self-discovery and empowerment with me. In today's video, we're going to talk about waiting. And I know people get tired of hearing about waiting and self-empowerment, but listen, we're going to keep doing it until we change the entire world. But before we get started, if you're new here, go ahead and give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on more uplifting, empowering content. So get comfortable because we are about to get into it. Let's go. So what made me want to talk about wait is because today in church, the pastor actually preached on waiting. And earlier today, I was having this conflicting moment with my spirit, my mind, my body, my soul, where I just felt at odds with myself. I felt like, am I making the right decisions? Are the things that I'm doing in life, are they pleasing to God? Am I doing things because I want to satisfy myself, or am I doing it because it's satisfying to God? And some of the decisions I make in life are not always perfect because I'm an imperfect human, just like much of everyone else. And so I think it's so important for us to understand what our purpose is, to understand that we're not going to be perfect, but we have to be willing to make better decisions in the future. And as I sat there pondering on my thoughts, thinking about how life is going and where I am in my life right now, I started to think, okay, would God be okay with the decisions that I'm making right now? Would he be okay with the choices that I'm making, the people that I'm talking to, the friends that I have, the whatever it is, right? And I started thinking about, okay, maybe I'm disappointing God. Like, am I doing enough in life to where God would be pleased with the decisions that I'm making? Because sometimes it really does feel like I'm doing all the wrong things. Sometimes in life, it really does feel like I'm doing a bunch of nothing, like I'm doing a bunch of busy work. I'm not doing a bunch of purpose work. And I want my life to be purposeful, not less. I don't want it to be in lack because we all know God is the God of abundance. He's nothing that is lackful or confusing is of God. Everything of God is sureness. Like, you know for sure this is God. You know for sure this is a decision that you should make. And I don't mean when you're scared. Sometimes when you're afraid, it could feel like that might not be the right decision. But healthy fear is good because it allows you to know when you should stop and when you should keep going. But I don't think you should let fear ever stop you from fulfilling your purpose or ever stop you from trying or doing something that makes you uncomfortable, because you can't increase, you can't evolve, you can't develop without being uncomfortable. You have to be willing to put yourself in those spaces so that you can grow, so that you can learn, so that you can be a better person than you were the day before. So, right on time, like God always is. And I know some people like go back and forth with that saying because they're like, listen, I needed it today. I didn't need it next week or whatever else. But the God that I serve is always on time. It might not be when I want it, but it's exactly when I need it. And so, of course, just like God being on time, the scripture reading was from Psalm 40, verse 1. I mean, she went through and did a couple other verses, but when she said it, I could feel it in my spirit. I could feel this tugging at my heart. I really felt my spirit feeling fulfilled in this message when the scripture was read. And it states, I wrote it down because, I don't know word for word, but I will memorize and learn things that are meaningful to my life because I want to be able to implement those things so I can become a better person. So Psalm 41 says, I waited. See, yep, you felt that too right there, didn't you? I waited patiently for the Lord, and he inclined me and heard my cry. When I heard that, and I was really in my feelings early this morning, I was feeling like, man, I'm going to try to keep it together in this video, but I was really feeling like, God, am I doing everything that I need to do in my life? Because I want to change the world. I want to help women and men really see their value. I want people to know that there's more to life than the things that they're settling for. I don't want any man to ever settle for some women talking down to them or shouting in their face. I want them to know that they're a leader, that they can really change everything, that they are incredible. I want us as women to understand how to set healthy standards and boundaries and really know and believe and trust in God, knowing that we're doing everything that we can. We don't have to be superwomen. We don't have to have it all figured out. We don't have to be perfect. We just have to be willing to try. I want us to know that we deserve God's best. Nothing less than that. We don't need to settle to be somebody's option because we are our number one choice. God chose us. We are one of one. We are not like anybody else. There's no reason for us to ever settle for anything less than what God intends for our lives. And I want us to feel that in our soul. Like not just like a cute little cliche saying that you hear here and there. Like no, I want you to believe that this is who you are. Know that that is who you are. Know that you deserve better. Stop settling for breadcrumbs. Stop settling for less than God's best. Seriously. I know sometimes you look at other women or other people and you say, of course she got all of this because she's beautiful. Listen, it doesn't matter how beautiful you are if you settle for less than God's best. If you settle for the bare minimum, you are going to make yourself feel less than God's best. If you settle for anything in your life, you will not have the confidence to continue. You won't have that confidence. Like the confidence that I get is from knowing and believing God. I get my security from God. Believing in myself, having those healthy standards and boundaries allows me to be a better person. Whenever I decrease my values, whenever I decrease my beliefs, whatever else it is, I feel insecure. I don't feel complete because I don't have God right there. Because God is the thing, He's my secret weapon. He is the thing that keeps me going, the thing that keeps me positive, the thing that keeps me feeling like I can continue on in my life. And my uncle sent me this quote one day, and some people probably heard it before, but I feel like it's important for women and men to hear this. It says, it says, you deserve to be someone's first choice. You deserve to be cherished and not taken for granted. You deserve to be chosen and not settled for. I know to some people, it could just be a quote, and you're like, of course, people would say this because you don't understand what I'm going through. I understand. I really do understand what you're going through. And I want you to know that you really do deserve better. You deserve to be someone's first choice, not an afterthought. You deserve to be appreciated and cherished in the way that God intended for you to be loved. You don't, anything that's not making you feel contentment in your life is not of God. God would never, God is not the author of confusion. He's not trying to make you feel like you don't know what's up or down. You don't know what's left or right. You don't know what's going on. You should know. You really should know. Am I saying people are perfect? Absolutely not. But I also want you to understand what you deserve. And sometimes it's not going to come right now. Sometimes you feel like I've been waiting forever. I keep doing this little thing in my life and it just feels like it's impossible. It feels like nothing's happening. It feels like I'm making these decisions and I just don't know. I don't know if I'm doing the right thing. I don't know if this is right, if that's right, if, it seems like every time I try, something comes against it or something tries to stop me. Let me give you a little pro tip. When you're trying to do better in life and something comes in and tries to distract you or it tries to pull against what it is that you're doing the right thing. That's the adversary trying to stop whatever promises God placed on the inside of you. That's the adversary trying to tell you that you're not good enough, trying to tell you that you won't be able to do it because he sees that you're focused. He knows when a blessing is on the way, and he always will try to stop it. When you feel resistance, that means that you're headed in the right track. If you don't feel any resistance, you're doing all of it wrong. Whatever you're doing is just, and I'm not saying the flow, like God will make sure things flow in your life. Like no matter what the adversary throws at you, you will still be able to make it through those things because he never have the righteous been forsaken or his seed begging for murder, for begging for bread. Sorry. Whew, I gotta stop crying in these videos. But yeah, you have to really just know who you are. Wait on God. I know sometimes we can get impatient while we're patiently waiting on God. And we could feel like, well, God, I make a lot of mistakes. What if I don't see it? What if I don't know what to do here? What if I do this wrong? What if I do that wrong? You're going to do a lot of things wrong. But God will be right there with you. God will never leave you nor forsake you. Sometimes we forget, we hear these scripture readings, we hear these verses, and we might reiterate them. We might say them, but do you actually believe it? Do you actually know God? Because if you know him, if you know his word, then you know that he is with you always. Whew. Mm, 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 mm. The message today was about waiting as well. It's it's about those who wait on the Lord, and it was right on time. I really, I mean, this is no secret, but y'all know my situation. I'm just, you know, I don't want to share too much. But anyways, I just sometimes I wait. I feel like I could wait till I'm like 92 and a half and I'm good. And then sometimes when God promised me something in like a week, I'm like, okay, God, it's been a good, I had a good solid week. I did all these things right for a week. Where is the blessing? And the blessing does come in many forms. Me even breathing and talking and speaking and having good health is a blessing. Not everybody has that. And sometimes we take those things for granted. And sometimes we feel like, okay, God, I know you're giving me this, but I want more. Or, what about this thing that you promised me? And I don't know if you're like me, and I know God's not just playing some kind of horrible, cruel joke on me or anything like that, but sometimes in life, I feel like God gives me everything but the one thing that I prayed for. I know a lot of non-believers and believers didn't want to hear that because you want to hear you ask God and you got it right away, right? You never had to wait at all. It just was right there. No, that's not how my life goes. It might look good, I might glow, I might be smiling, things like that. But when I pray for things, I know they're on the way, but I don't get them right away. It takes time. It takes molding. It takes for God to literally be on the potter's wheel, molding me into the person he created me to be. It literally takes time for God to break those things off of me that aren't serving me or going to serve me in the future when I'm in that position. It literally takes time for God to see that I'm actually ready for that. Seeing that I've been a good steward over a few things so he could bless me with many things. It takes time for me to learn and to allow the right people in without pushing people away. That takes time. It's not something like, oh yeah, I know I need to let people in tomorrow. All of a sudden, here you go. No, it's like it's gonna take time. It's gonna take a waiting season. And the waiting season is not always fun because that's when you go through the most trials and tests and tribulations. That's when your faith is tested. That's when your flesh is tested. That's when your what you want to eat is tested. Like everything that tempts you will become a test in the waiting season because God wants to gauge where you are. It's kind of like, have you ever taken a placement test or something like that? Well, I know everyone has taken some sort of placement test, or if you've done some kind of testing to try to put you in whatever area it is in school. It might be an SOL, whatever it was. And during this test, it would show you exactly where you were in reading and math and English, whatever. And because of that test, you would be able to tell what grade level you were at. I feel like that's how God is with us when he tests us in life. He wants to see where our flesh is. Like, of course, the flesh is weak, but can you withstand? He wants to see if our hunger, our appetite is going to deter us from what it is that we actually want. Can we actually fast to wait on God for the things that we aspire to have? Like for me, when I fast, it's personality. It's not about a house. It's not about a car. It's not about money. It's about building my relationship with God. And whenever I get ready to fast, I think, okay, God has given me 30 some years. I could obviously give God a week, 14 days, 21 days, however long it is, because that's nothing compared to God giving me my whole life, you know? So that's what I think of when I think of God. And a waiting season is not fun for me. Whenever I get in waiting season, I will meet a whole bunch of distractions that always seem like they're good or they're the right choice, or this job, this person, this place, this thing is the right choice. Every single time it always looks good, and it's always not. Every single time. And then at the end of whatever's happening, I always feel like, okay, God, can you just allow me to only meet my husband? Can you just allow me to only work the one job that I'm going to end up in the end? Like, Can you just allow me to just be a millionaire tomorrow or something? Like, not that money will fix things, but money also could help in certain areas of my life. And I know that if I'm glorifying God, God will allow me to have the funds to be able to help people in whatever way it is that He sees fit. I get into this mood at the end of whatever's happening in my life, in that towards the end of the test kind of stage, and I'm like, God, okay, you did teach me this, this, and this, but what's the purpose of me meeting anybody, any person, like as a friend, romantically, whatever, if they're all gonna be the same person? It just seems like pointless to me. But God always has some sort of plan, and I always do learn something. So that makes sense. Does it feel great? No, of course it sucks. Sucks, but sorry. Excuse my language for those of you that don't know that I talk like that sometimes when I get real frustrated, but that's life. And I really would love to just be like super smiley and like, yeah, that's life. You're gonna go through things and it's gonna be great and everything's great and it's awesome and it's so cool and it's great. Like, no, listen, sometimes I don't feel like that. Sometimes I'm not feeling it. Sometimes I really do feel like, you know, like I really do have real emotions. I emote like every other human being. And I think it's important for me to show that on these videos because I don't ever want to walk around like a robot and pretending as if I don't emote or pretending as if I don't feel a certain type of way about things that happen in life. Like, of course, I feel certain types of ways. I really I want the best for everybody. And I want the things that God promised me. And I know it will happen on God's time. And sometimes it's not easy to wait. But I know that the waiting is necessary because that's where God does his best work. I know that's where I start to appreciate different things in life that I didn't even know mattered. Like, God was trying to get me to, I was spending some time with God and thinking about different things that I needed to do. I missed reading my scripture one night or the Bible one night, and it threw me all off. And then I ended up reading double so that way I could read it for that night and the next day. Then this morning I read my scripture, but I read a short scripture. I didn't read like a regular one. And sometimes I just feel so exhausted. Like, I don't know. Sometimes I really just feel like I just want to be by myself and just not worry about anything ever again. And then sometimes I feel like, okay, but if I'm going to be by myself, how am I going to receive the blessings that God has for me? Because a person has to give me that blessing. A person is going to have to come into my life, things like that. But sometimes it's so difficult to be able to see the future when you're living in the present. Sometimes it's so difficult to be hopeful. Like, I still believe that God is going to make it happen, but I learned lately that I just don't trust myself in some areas. I wish I did. I wish I could feel like, oh yeah, I'm going to definitely know what to do in this situation. I'm going to definitely be able to see this thing coming. I'm going to definitely be able to do all of these things. And that's just not realistic. That's not what's really happening. In my head, that's how I would love to be, the type of person who would just know immediately all of the answers to these different things. But sometimes you just have to you have to live and learn to understand what to do. It's not just like you get a solution just because you're a person. But I definitely don't want anyone to grow weary in doing good, because in due season you'll reap a harvest if you faint not. Always remember that waiting on God is so necessary. He may not come when you want him, but he'll always be on time. Sometimes I will be in a position in life and I'll feel like, oh, I can't see anything better than this. God's like, if that's the best that you think I got, you don't know me, because I could do exceedingly and abundantly above anything you could ever ask or imagine. Sometimes we forget that God is the God of abundance. And although we think this is the best man, the best job, the best opportunity, God has so much more that he could give you. Always remember that you are not an option for anyone in any environment of your life, any place position in your life. You are not an option. You are a choice. You deserve God's best always. Always wait on God because He has so much more for you than you could ever dream. I know you can't see it right now, but know that He is God. Get to know Him, really build that relationship because He will make sure that you have everything that you need. He knows your heart's desire. He knows what you want in your life, even when you can't see it, even when you don't see how it's possible. God will make sure that you're okay. Whenever I'm in a position in my life and I just don't see how it's going to work out, God always allows another person, place, or thing to take the place of the thing that was removed every single time. I never have to go without. Even when I feel like, okay, God, I have nothing left. God's like, you have me. If I have God, I have everything. That's not nothing. That's everything. God is literally the creator of everything. No matter how many things are removed, no matter how many people don't stay around, whatever else happens in my life, God can create everything, a solution for everything. Someone once said a long time ago that if you have a problem that a person can solve, that God can solve, then you don't really have a problem. And I think that's so true. Sometimes we forget that God can do the impossible. Sometimes we really feel like we got to be the person that comes up with a solution. We got to be the person that does all of these things, but we don't. We just have to be us and obedient and willing to follow His instruction. And He will guide our footsteps. He will make sure that everything is okay. You never have to want or worry about anything. You cannot worry about tomorrow because today has its own problems. Always remember that. Always know that you cannot add another day, hour, or year onto your life by worrying. Allow God to give you the power of contentment in this moment while you wait on Him, because He will always come through. So I'm going to put a freebie in the description once this video is posted so that you guys can visit and view the free link, the free ebook. It'll help you get rid of the things that you don't need and keep things that you should have in your life. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you have an amazing, incredible, magnificent Sunday. And definitely don't forget to like and subscribe. See you soon.